Hello, welcome to Woodburn Rising. Today I'm here with the president of Woodburn Community Access Television, Mr. Jerry Cotter.
Hello.
Hi Jerry, good to see you.
Good to see you, Colin.
You're not someone who generally appears much on television. You're usually well behind the scenes doing things.
Yes, most of the time my role here at WACAT is administrative and making sure that the operations of WACAT continue on a day-to-day basis.
And in a way you're kind of the central engineer as well. You fix things that break all over the place. And also you have this incredible role where you work with the schools and the school system. So today I want to tell our viewers about what history we have here and how much of a treasure the station actually is. So tell me a little bit about the very beginning of WACAT, your role and your predecessor.
Well, way back around 1991, the city of Woodburn decided that they wanted to get in on the cable access thing, and that was going on up and down the valley. A lot of the cities were forming little cable access, and in those days television equipment was big, clumsy, the cameras were big, the equipment was really expensive, and so the whole idea of public access in those days was to bring local people into these public access facilities, train them how to use the equipment, make the equipment available for them, and then air their messages on usually a closed circuit type setup on the local cable companies. Over the years, 20 some years, that's changed, has morphed a little bit in that camera equipment has gotten smaller, less expensive, and we've got venues out there like YouTube where if people want to make a comment or a statement on something in the city, they can upload whatever the message they want up to YouTube or even post them to Facebook. And so television, our role as a training organization has kind of morphed, and we've become much more of a production house in terms of producing locally produced shows, covering local government. We do city council, we do library board, planning commission. I'm missing one. Did I say Parks and Rec? And so we've got library board. We've do all those, plus we handle school board, and we have a volunteer that does the local fire board. And so we try to have the camera at all those different meetings, and air back those meetings various times during the weeks following.
So in the past we've been broadcasting completely with the local cable channel franchise, which is Wave, and putting all of these meetings online, and then they repeat through the week. So if people miss being there live, they can go and see this on the local cable network. Right,
and so anyone that's on the Wave Broadband's Woodburn office sphere of influence gets us. If you have a cable converter, we're on channel 5, and if you don't have a cable converter but have a modern digital television, we're up around 135.3, and those are the two ways that somebody can get us. About a year and a half ago, Wave is condensing their analog channels, and we got moved off of channel 5 for the first tier without
for the digital side.
For the digital side. So as a result, someone who doesn't either have a converter or doesn't have a digital set, if they turn on channel 5, we're snow on those older sets.
But we're not out of business.
But we're not out of business. We're still very much in business. In fact, we've got a lot of plans for the future, and some pretty exciting plans as it might go. A couple of years ago, we were able to upgrade our production equipment to where we're running mostly a digital operation on the front end. However, our playback on air side, it still is running. It's a 20-year-old system, and it's still running what they refer to as analog equipment. The shows are recorded to DVD or tape, and they're played back under the command of a computer, the scheduling computer. The problem with that is we can't be precise with our scheduling. Two is a lot of DVD formats, locally produced shows now are coming at us in
multiple formats,
computer files.
Right.
And so what we're looking at doing, hopefully sooner than later, is purchasing a new very specific type computer is basically what it is, but it's a playback machine that will allow us to record the shows on a hard drive and then play those shows back. And basically the only thing that's moving in those is the hard drive.
Right, and they can come in, we can get things externally in different formats and also include those.
Right, the system we're looking at has the ability to look at, analyze the formats and actually pulls up the software needed, the code, what they call the Kodak, and basically play that back in whatever format it is. And so it also will give us the capability, with Wave's help, of potentially going high def with our broadcast as well. In addition to that, we've started uploading the some of our shows and governmental shows and locally produced shows like this one. We started uploading those to YouTube, and we actually have a YouTube channel now that I believe is, if you type in Woodburn Community Access Television
in the search bar,
up it will come, and it'll show you
all the shows that we currently have
kind of
now.
an on-demand kind of thing, only over your computer.
Which is kind of wonderful, because that doesn't really, I don't believe that costs us anything to do that.
No. And what it does is it gives folks that can't get us here in
complete
town
access
to
and
our
they can get
programming.
access, I'm assuming, on the smartphones, because the smartphones can watch YouTube video as well as their TV sets.
Yeah,
so it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, any mobile device that's capable of handling video through a YouTube app or something like it, you could potentially watch our shows on demand.
So we're now global, basically.
Yes, you could say we're global. Somebody on the other side of the world, if they wanted to look at Woodburn Community Access TV, they could do so.
Now, in your private life, I want to expand a little bit about who you are in the real world, other than the TV world. You've been heavily involved with emergency services, with the fire. You have a position there. Do you want to discuss that
Well, I've got a 20-year history in emergency services, and I've left emergency services per se. Still keep my finger in it as a board of director with Woodburn Fire District. But with that 20 years of experience, that's how I got involved with WACAT in the first place. We were one of the governmental agencies that was involved in the initial formation committee, and so as a result of that, I've been pretty much involved from the get-go. In fact, when WACAT first started, we were actually broadcasting from one of Woodburn's fire stations over on the east side of town. And in those days, we did mostly live programming, not taped or tape delayed. And so there would be nights that we'd be actually on the air with a show, interviewing a guest, much like we're doing now, and there'd be a fire alarm. And we'd have to stop live on the air to let the firefighters pass in front of the camera as they were getting to their trucks to go to the emergency. So
well, I know when we were meeting the other day, you had a call from the local swimming pool about an accident there that came in. So
yeah, as a board chair, I still get notified of all the
incidents.
Yeah, but it's kind of fun just to track and see what's going on there.
So pretty impressive. You and I have talked about at some point to create a program that addresses the larger issues facing our town in Oregon, which would be the expected quake offshore like the one we had in Japan, and maybe working with local organizations and the city to create some kind of business continuity focus in a program.
Yeah, there's a lot of
city
things.
continuity rather than business continuity.
Yeah, we are in a situation here with Woodburn Community Access that a lot of people don't even know we exist.
Yeah.
And organizations don't realize that they can approach us if they have a
Yeah.
message they want to get out, that we can help them produce that message or whatever. And along with that comes other things such as business continuity, things like community forums, all those kinds of things we can videotape. We actually did the initiation for the local Masons here recently.
Yeah.
We were invited, and we ended up having to go to Malala because their lodge was still under construction, renovation. But yeah, so I mean, we're available for most organizations that we run a bulletin board, so you can get your announcements out. We can, given enough time, we can get involved in community action plans, such as an example of that would be the school bond measure. We built I forget how long it was, but about 7-8 minute video showing what the bond would correct in the school district.
And we had quite a few programs about the school bond.
Right.
And the result was we have a school bond.
Yes, we have the school bond. And in the past, we've done things with the schools in terms of getting the kids involved in mock news programs, getting the kids involved in television production even. We've done things like that in the past. I have worked with and still hope to work with the video teacher at the high school at Waka.
What's his name? Let's give out his name.
Caleb Allen.
He's also a member of our board of directors.
He is our board of directors. And last year we installed a new studio for him, but theirs was damaged heavily in the fire.
Right.
Fire never got to it, but the smoke and the moisture did. And as a result, they were able to buy new equipment that's very compatible with ours. So.
And they have insurance that paid for that.
Yes,
now.
they have insurance that paid for that. So with that, a student learning that system at the high school would know our system and vice versa. And so that opens up opportunities for facility sharing and those kinds of things as this program grows. So we're looking forward to maintaining that. And another venue that we're looking at, it's an old flagship program that was run by the late Dick Jennings, and that is...
Who was the founder?
Who was one of the founders.
Yeah. Who was the other founder, by the way? Let's give him a plug.
Bruce Thomas.
And he's the guy who runs the printing shop in town?
Yes, Graphics.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they're the two granddaddies.
The two granddads.
Of that.
Thank you for this.
And so we're going to be bringing back Let's Communicate, which was Dick's show. And that's kind of a monthly show that we'll be doing. And we're going to reboot it slightly. We're building a set for it. We're going to be highlighting one show a month. We'll highlight emergency services, police, fire, ambulance, or the dispatch center. Another show will highlight something going on with the school district. It didn't go unnoticed at the school district that we have 12 months and they have approximately 12, 13 schools. So their idea is maybe doing a school a month kind of thing, which would be kind of cool. And then the other one will be the city of Woodburn on various topics of different departments and that sort of thing. Then we may still do a fourth one, which will be intermittent. That would include any state folks that we could get in, or county commissioners, those kinds of folks that have been on the show in the past. Yeah. And so we're looking to bring that back mid-year, so probably premiere it in the fall would be my guess at this point.
Wonderful. Well, we're doing okay, I think. Now tell us a little bit more about the thing that we discussed, the equipment that we're aiming to get and how quickly you think we can pull that. Now, one of the things I heard from you is that we can do this. This isn't something you have to borrow money for. This is something we can create because we had some kind of odd things happen in the year. As a result, some money's there now to buy the equipment so we can upgrade that which is about to break.
Right. The equipment that I alluded to earlier is a digital playback machine, and it has some pretty neat capabilities. It's a combination graphics machine, scheduler, and video playback. And the machine we're looking at would give us very precise control of our programming. You wouldn't see blank screens or those kinds of things. It will allow us to overlay video. We can run crawls underneath and over the video. It has the ability to actually create video on the fly with an operator. It has the ability to streamline scheduling. If we have a show that we've stripped, what stripping means, we just show it at 11 o'clock every day. One click and it populates the menu. So I mean, it's got some really nice workflow features. The other thing that the computer has the ability to do is to actually go out on the internet, and under our command, of course, it doesn't do it by itself, but and it can bring in weather information. It can bring in.
Well, this is great.
It can bring in late breaking news if that's what we choose to have.
So we could make arrangements with Salem access, cable access, and if they have a news show, we could actually pull theirs in, and we could give them news segments that we film here.
Right.
So we suddenly have the ability to use the internet in its entirety. Finally.
Right, and the other piece that's really cool is that if I need to, I can call the machine up remotely from anywhere in the world, and using the right codes to get in, I can actually make changes on the fly or correct a problem or those kinds of things. Right now, if something goes haywire, I have to actually get in the car and drive down here. And sometimes that's not a problem, and other times it's a big problem.
Although sometimes we have mice in the walls, and we have to get them out. You can't do that via the internet yet.
No, not quite yet. Not quite yet.
So what's your hope for the people of Woodburn? One of the things that we would love to see, I know, is that other people would actually come in, the schools would come in and say, can we do a show here? And we would say yes, and we'll help you, and it doesn't cost anything. It's very difficult to find by trying to give good things away for free when other people will go and pay a lot of money to get a facility when you have all of this here.
Right. We do have equipment that we can lend out after you're trained on it. Basically, if someone has an idea for a show, we will sit down with them and coach them and try to get them thinking about all the things they need to think about. Sometimes producing a TV show is not quite as easy as people think. On the other hand, it gets to the point where people, if they settle down long enough, can actually learn those skills pretty easily. And once they get those skills, then we let them loose with the camera and let them go out and shoot what they want to shoot. And then we can help them edit it. We can teach them how to edit. We can help them edit it. We can do whatever needs to be done to get it on the air at that point. But again, it's one of those best kept secrets. It doesn't cost any money for anybody to come in and borrow the equipment, as long as they've been trained on it.
And signed on the dotted line.
So signed on the dotted line, so we know where it's at. And over the years, we've had, in the old days, we had classes that were, producing, directing, camera operation, audio operation, lighting, producing, and editing, and those were all individual classes, and we used to run classes like that, and at times we were relatively busy with half a dozen students. We actually did a high school graduation one year that was the end of the class project, and the group really got off on that. They were mostly adults, and that worked out really, really well. But older kids can also take part in the program. And
there is the possibility here, of course, of filming even feature films. So let's have a little walk back in memory lane and talk about your experience of filming with a bunch of school pupils. And was it a vampire movie? It
was a vampire movie. It was the Woodburn Vampire Conspiracy. It still hasn't been released yet. But basically, we started with 26 kids. Ended up with a cast of 13 by the time it was over.
Because people don't show up a lot.
People didn't show up, and one of the first things the kids had to realize was if they were in a scene and they didn't show up for the scene,
Yeah.
Then the scene couldn't be shot.
Continuity issues.
It's continuities, yes. And so we worked on that, and then right in the middle of that, the high school burned, and that
Which was another continuity issue when the school disappears mid-shoot.
Right. And especially when we weren't done with the one section that burned, but
Yeah.
Unfortunately we were. So we had some things there, some challenges there. Shooting went much longer than I anticipated. Editing is taking much longer. We had to get a more powerful computer, and I'm just now starting to edit the silly thing. But it was a really neat experience for the kids that stuck with it.
Yeah.
And they learned a lot about television, and that all these casts, all these shows that are on TV don't just fly together, but rather they have to be planned, executed, implemented, and all that kind of stuff. And so, the fun thing about the Vampire Conspiracy is we used Settlemyre House, and with the idea.
Fortunately, that didn't burn down.
No, fortunately,
good.
yes. We don't want Settlemyre House to burn. And so, in the movie, allegedly, their lair is in the basement of Settlemyre House. And
Is that real?
Yeah. And so we created the basement here in the studio.
Really?
And I had 3 full-size coffins in here, and a blood punch bowl, and a few other vampire-ish items, and the kids were all here, and we ran the camera around, spent 2.5 days shooting in here around the coffins and stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
So any of the high school students now could do a movie, but we would need. Now we're working with how many people who are expert in this kind of stuff at the schools? There's our board member.
Our board member, and then there's one of the principals. I can't think of his name right now. But we've got one principal, and they're the ones that are kind of driving it over there.
Right. Now, one of the things that you and I talked about too was filming the basketball games coming up soon, and actually putting something together to do that, which has happened in the past.
Correct.
So getting a squad of people who are interested in participating with that, if you're interested, guys, would be very useful.
Right, and for seniors, it can be a senior project. We did that with basketball one year. I had a young man come to me and say, he needed to have the camera to shoot football, and basically he was going to follow the football up and down the field. And I said, well, this is your senior project. I said, dude, this is your senior project. You gotta make it a little more. You need to have 2 camera operators, you need an announcer, you need a stats person, and you need a director. And I said, I assume you're going to be the director. And it was pretty interesting watching those kids learn the business. And the first few times we set up the cameras and the little computer that was doing the recording, it was to me like herding cats, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that they needed a lot of help. By the time we were probably a third through the season, I could move the equipment up with them, and then I could go have a hot dog, and I would be assured that when I got back that everything would be set up to spec. And really, the kids got pretty good at it, and that's what's kind of neat about it, especially high school kids. When they get into something, it's really a lot of fun to watch them develop.
Absolutely.
And move
but
on.
Being able to conceive too any kind of project, whether it's a film project or if you're building furniture, knowing steps and sequences and being able to visualize what you want to happen at each stage is totally critical. So this is really a kind of fundamental learning when you come into a TV studio and do a project.
Absolutely. There's a lot of intellectual knowledge, cognitive kind of stuff that goes on. You've got when I also did a project with tag kids, talented and gifted kids.
Yeah.
Did that at Nellie Muir here several years ago, and they produced a new show. And in fact, we gave them the choice of what they wanted to produce. We put out several different kinds of formats, and they decided they wanted news. And so as a result, the crew ended up writing, producing, and it was really kind of fun because I said, okay, we're going to learn how to write scripts today. You mean we have to write? And we're going to do a project. We're going to figure out what the steps are in the project. You mean we have to plan something? And so as the projects went, they all broke into their own little things. And we did things like, at the time Nellie Muir was looking at uniforms, and so we did a thing where the reporter was standing here against our green wall, but we had shot a group of kids in their plain street clothes, and we'd shot a group of kids in uniforms, and they walked the same pattern. We were able to do a dissolve right behind her. Really kind of cool. We had another little girl that we dressed up in a hard hat and high vis, took her over. This gives you an idea how old this is. Heritage and Valor Middle School were under construction, and so she was standing right in the middle of the main entranceway with her hard hat, talking about the school and when it was going to be open, and they shot several different ways of that. We had, the kids one of the kids did a food segment. Others did some about what their projects were at the school. We even had one that went up to the high school and did a sports thing.
So the sky is really the limit.
It is.
We're coming to the end of our time here today. I hope that you can come back as we move forward through the year and talk a little bit more about what's going on, especially with the city and the schools. For our viewers, go to youtube.com, and in your search bar there, look up Woodburn Community Access Television. Write that in the bar underneath, and you should see all our shows pop up. And then if you're looking at your wave, 135.3 is the cable channel, and then if you've got digital decoder, channel 5 as usual. But thank you for coming today and coming out of the darkness behind the scenes.
All right.
Thank you very much. Jerry Cotter, everyone. Thank you.